Welcome to you all. I am S. Ramesh, Assistant Professor of CSE Department, Erode Sengunda Engineering College, Tirupati, Erode District, Tamil Nadu. Today, we are going to see computational thinking. Okay. See, what is computational thinking? It allows us to take a complex problem, understand what the problem is, and develop the possible solution. Okay. We are going to take the complex problem and understand the problem, then develop the solution. That is the computational thinking. Next, thinking computationally is not programming. Okay, programming tells a computer what to do and how to do it. Next, computational thinking enables us to work out exactly what to tell the computer to do. For example, if you agree to meet your friends somewhere you have never gone there before, you would probably plan your route before you step out of your house. You might consider the routes available and which route is best. That is the shortest, the quickest, or the one which goes past your favorite shop on the way. You follow the step by step direction to get there. In this case, the planning part is like computational thinking, and following the directions is like programming. Okay, next we are going to see four key techniques for the computational thinking. Okay, decomposition, abstraction, pattern recognition, algorithm. First one, decomposition means, okay, what is decomposition? Breaking. Okay, we are going to break down a complex problem into smaller, okay, that is the manageable parts. Okay, that is called the decomposition. Next, abstraction. What is the meaning of abstraction? Hidden. Okay, so abstraction means showing the important part details and hiding the uh, unnecessary details. Okay, for example, we know how to take the money from the ATM. Okay, but we no need to know how the ATM machine is bring out the money exactly what we have given. Okay, that is the abstraction. Next, pattern recognition. Okay, pattern recognition means looking for the similarities among and within the problem. Next, algorithm. Algorithm means step by step procedure to solve a problem. Next, next topic is the from abacus to machine. Okay, the abacus is also called as a counting frame. Okay, abacus is the first calculating tool which has been used since ancient times. It consists of rows of movable beads or similar objects strung on a wire. They represent digits. Okay. For example, what is the purpose of abacus means it is used to perform the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, or even a square or cubic root. Okay. In the ancient world, particularly before the introduction of positional notation, abacuses were a practical calculating tool. Okay, although calculators and computers are commonly used today instead of abacuses remain in everyday use in some countries. Okay, for example, merchants, traders, and clerks in some parts of Eastern Europe, Russian, China, and Africa use the abacuses. Okay. Next, modern computers borrow four concepts from the abacus. What are the four concepts? Number one, storage. Number two, representation. Number three, calculation. Number four, user interface. Okay. See, our next topic is the first software. Okay. The first known programmable machine is not a calculator. It is a loom for weaving cloth around 1805. A French inventor named Joseph Marie Jacquard built the first known programmable machine. Okay. Next, Charles Babbage had already built a mechanical calculator capable of more advanced logarithmic and trigonometric calculations, but he did not add the notion of programmability until the design of his second and more significant invention, the analytical engine. Next, sadly, because of the complexity of the device, the manufacturing capabilities are impossible to construct a complete analytical engine during the Babbage's lifetime. The analytical engine involves a woman named Ada Lovelace. She was quite interested in the work of Charles Babbage and is known to have written programs for the analytical engine. Charles Babbage and Ada Lovelace were among the first computer programmers. Okay. Next, our next topic is the first modern computer. It has the three properties. Number one, it must be electronic. See, the modern computer means it must be electronic and not exclusively mechanical. Number two, it must be digital and not a analog. Number three, it must employ the stored program concept. Next, influence of these and other work on the differential analyzers, two researchers from the University of Pennsylvania, John Mauchly, a physicist, and Peter Eckert, an electrical engineer, conducted a project completed ENIAC, electronic numerical integrator and computer. The ENIAC for US Army in 1946. In 1947, a patent was filed with the US Patent Office that declared ENIAC to be the first electronic computer. It is an early modern computer. ENIAC was a calculating device that ran on electricity and was digital. Okay. By today's standards, ENIAC was enormous, physically filling an entire room. Its circuitry relied on 19,000 vacuum tubes and 1,000 relays. See, vacuum tubes can be used as memory devices, but they are large. For example, each roughly the size of human thumb. Relays are a form of electrical switch that are mechanical and also large. It is roughly the size of the half a cell phone. Okay, see how big the first modern computer was. Okay, it fills the entire room. Okay, our next topic is the information and data. Okay, what is data? What is information? Data is unorganized and unrefined facts. Information means it comprises the processed, organized data presented in a meaningful context. See, for example, okay, there are five blind persons are there. In the one blind person is touching the elephant's trunk, and another one is touching the tusks of the elephant. The third one touching the leg of the elephant. Fourth one touching the ear of the elephant. Fifth one touching the tail of the elephant. See, there these five persons are blind persons. So each one know how the trunk look like, how the tusk look like, ears, eyes look like, tail, legs look like. When we combined all the five blind persons, okay, then they can easily understand how big the elephant look like. Okay, that is the individually we are seeing means that is called the data. Cumulatively, we are going to see the uh, full form of the elephant. That is the information. Okay. See next, data is the raw material. Okay, information is the collection of data. It provides the logical meaning. Next, Data does not depend on the information, but information depend on the data. Next one. The raw data alone is insufficient for decision making, but with the help of information, we can take any decision. Okay, for example, students' test score is the example for data. The average score of a class is the information. Okay, next one, converting information into data. Okay, we know very well what is data, what is information. Next, we are going to convert the information into data. That is a data processing. What is data processing? It refers to the process of transformation raw data into meaningful output. That is the information. It can be done manually using the pen and paper, mechanically using the simple devices like typewriters, or electronically using the modern data processing tools such as computers. Next, data processing cycle. It refers to the sequence of activities involved in data transformation from its raw form to information. It is often referred to as cycle because the output obtained can be stored after processing and may be used in future as input. There are okay data processing cycle. There are four main stages: data collection, data input, data processing, and then data output. Okay. See, let's see the stages of data collection. What are the stages are there? Data creation. We need to create the data. Next, preparation. Next, transmission. Next, input, media conversion, input validation, sorting, processing, and output. Next, data capacity. See, what is data capacity? For example, when storing the symbols on a keyboard, the data capacity of a computing system is the amount of information that can be encoded by the system. Okay. The data capacity is directly related to the number of bits that are available on the system. Data capacity is not using based on a direct count of the number of bits, but rather is based on the unit of measure known as a byte. Okay. See, let's see the type of information and data capacity in bytes. Keyboard symbol. Okay. If we want to store one keyboard symbol, it takes the 1 byte of data. Next, 10-page paper. See, 10-page paper, it stores the data capacity of 40 KB. Next, 5-minute MP3 audio recording. See, one audio recording, one song, it takes the 5 MB of the size. Next, high resolution digital picture. See, we are going to take one photo from our cell phone, it takes a 5 MB size. Next, CD audio disc. It takes the 800 MB size. Next, DVD. DVD means it can store the 8.5 GB. Next, Wikipedia. Okay, it stores the 6 terabytes. Star means it more or less the 6 terabytes. Okay. Next, general problem solving concepts. Okay. See, there are steps involved in the problem solving. First, we need to understand the problem. Second one, analyze the problem. Third one, develop the solution. Fourth one, coding and implementation. Okay. See, first one, data, the problem solving methodology. Here, first step is the definition. Next, analysis. Next, design. Next, coding. Next, testing. Next, documentation. Next, maintenance. Okay. Let's see the algorithm. Our next topic is the algorithm. Okay. Algorithm, it is a sequence of instructions for solving a problem. What is algorithm? Sequence of instructions for solving a problem. Next, characteristics of the algorithm. First, Each instruction should be practice and unambiguous. What is in be unambiguous? See, ambiguous means doubtful. Unambiguous means without doubt. Okay, it is clear. Okay, so each instruction should be precise, exactly, and without doubt. Okay, clearly. Next, number two, instruction should not repeat infinitely. See, our instruction must be end after a particular steps. Okay. Number three, it should be written in sequence. Yes, our instruction should be in a sequence. Next, number four, it looks like normal English. Okay, then only we can easily understand. Next, after the instructions are executed, the user should get the required result. See, if we follow our instruction, we should get the required result. For example, algorithm for baking a bread. How do we baking a bread? First step, add the flour. Number two, add the salt. Number three, add the yeast. Number four, we are going to mix all these three: flour, salt, yeast. We are going to mix all the three. Next, number five, add the water. Number six, ned. Ned means we are going to again mixing. Okay, mixing with the next one. Number seven, let rise. Number eight, bake. Therefore, bread has been baked successfully. Okay, that is the algorithm for the baking a bread. Okay, let's see the qualities of good algorithm. What are the qualities? Our algorithm must have the less time. Okay, the time time means less time. Our algorithm must execute less time. Number two, memory. There is a less memory. Our algorithm, okay, must have the less memory. Okay, less size. Okay. Next, accuracy, more accuracy. Our algorithm must be more accuracy. Next, number four, sequence. Okay, our algorithm must be in a sequential order. Next, generability. Okay, generability means the user can give any input. Our algorithm must be common for any kind of input. That is called the generability. Next one, representation of algorithm. Okay, our algorithm should be in a normal English. Number one. Number two, flow chart. We can represent the algorithm using the flow chart method. Next, pseudocode. Yes, we can use the pseudocode also. Number four, decision table. Number five, program. Okay, we will see one by one. Okay, in the further. Next, building blocks of an algorithm. Okay, number one, statements. Statements are the first one. Number two, sequential control. Okay, it should be in a order. Next is selection or conditional. Conditional means if else. Okay, if means go this side, else means go that side. Next one, repetition or control flow. Repetition means we can use the for loop or while loop. Next, number five, functions. Okay, we can use the functions. What is the function? It is a set of programs. It is used to perform a particular task. Next is statements. Okay, a statement can be termed as a single instruction or operation in an algorithm. Okay, it performs the single task. Okay, next, a simple example to find the sum of two numbers. Okay, how do we get the sum of two numbers? For example, there is a variable a, there is variables b. Okay, we are going to store a plus b into our result. Okay, for that, okay, we are going to describe the problem to find the sum of two numbers. Next is set up two numbers required for addition and one variable for storing the result. Okay, so variable a, b, and result. There are three variables we need. Next parameter, read the first number. Next read the second number. Next execution, calculate the sum of the two numbers. Result equal to a plus b. That's the next conclusion. The desired result is sum. Next is sequential control. Sequential control means that the steps of an algorithm are carried out in a sequential manner. Okay, that is the one by step it will execute. Where each step is executed exactly once, only one time each steps will execute. See, for example, algorithm to convert the centigrade to Fahrenheit. Okay, what is the first step? Read the temperature in degree centigrade. First, we need the centigrade. Next step, convert the centigrade to Fahrenheit using the formula. What is the formula for Fahrenheit? Fahrenheit equal to 9 by 5 star centigrade plus 32. That's all. Next, print the Celsius to Fahrenheit value. Next, selection or conditional. In selection control, only one of a number of alternative steps is executed based on the condition. Okay, for example, okay, algorithm to find the greatest of two numbers. Step 1, read the first number A, read the second number B. Next, third step, if A is greater than B, then A is big. Else means suppose condition is false, print B is big. That's all. Next example, algorithm to find the student grade system. Okay, step 1, start. Step 2, read the marks. Next, step 3, if marks greater than equal to 80, then grade is A. Next, go to step 7. What is the step 7? Display the grade, all of that's all. Next is step 8, stop. Suppose our mark is greater than equal to 60 and mark is less than equal to 80 means then grade B. Okay, then go to step 7. Next, if marks greater than equal to 40 and marks less than equal to 60 means put grade equal to C. That's all. Next, go to step 7, display the result. Else, suppose these all the conditions are false. Next, display failed. Okay, the student is failed. Below 40 marks means student is failed. Next one, repetition or control flow. In repetition, one or more steps are performed repeatedly. Okay, for example, we are using the for loop. Okay, inside the for loop, we are using the same statements. We are going to run the same statements again repeatedly until the condition becomes false. Okay, next, repetition statements are also called loops and are used to repeat the same code multiple times in succession. Next one, the number of repetitions is based on criteria. Okay, based on our condition. If the condition is false, that's all. We come outside the loop. Next, the three loop structures. There are three loop structures are there. Okay, while loop, do while loop, and then for loop. Okay, what is the while loop? While loop means it first check the condition, then perform the operation. Do while loop means first execute the statements, then it checks the condition. What is the difference between while and do while? In the while statement, if the condition is false, it will not execute. It will not execute. Come outside the loop. But in our do while loop, if the condition is true or false, even though the condition is false, it executes at least one time. Okay, that is the do while loop. Okay, next one, for loop. For loop also checks the condition first. If the condition is true, then only it executes the statements. Otherwise, it will not execute. Okay, let's see the one example. Read numbers and add them up until their total value reaches or exceeds a set value represented by n. Okay, see here, read the numbers. We are going to get the numbers and add them. We are going to add the continuously until their total value reached. Okay, for example, step 1, while total is less than n. we are getting the n value. Okay, total is less than n means we are going to again read the number, then we are going to total plus number, we are going to keep on adding. Okay, how many times it will add? Okay, until the condition becomes false. Total is less than n. Condition true means go inside, condition false means come outside the loop. See, after the condition is becomes false, it goes to end do. Next is step 5, print total. Okay, next one, next topic is the pseudocode. Okay, pseudocode, it is an informal way of programming. Okay, description that does not require any strict programming language syntax. It is used for creating an outline or a rough draft of a program. Okay, what is the pseudocode? It is a simply a outline of a program or a rough draft of a program. Okay, pseudo means imitation, code means set of instructions. Next, we will see rules for pseudocode. What are the rules are there? Number one, write only one statement per line. Number two, capitalize initial keyword. Number three, indent to show the hierarchy. See, what is the indent to show the hierarchy? We are giving the space to mention the hierarchy. Okay. Next, end multi-line in structures. Next, keep statements language independent. Let's see the types of logic structure. There are three types of logic structure is there: sequential structure, selection structure, iteration. First one, sequential structure. Performing instructions one after the another. See, statement 1 will execute first, next statement 2, next statement 3, up to statement n will execute at the last. Next, selection structure. Performs the action based on the condition given. Okay, for example, see, our amount is less than 100 means yes means go left side, interest rate equal to 0.06. Suppose amount is greater than 100 means go to right side, no condition, interest is 0.10. Next, for this above, okay, for this above selection control, we are going to write the pseudocode. See, see the pseudocode. If amount is less than 100 means what is interest rate? 0.06. Suppose condition is false means else means interest rate equal to 0.10. Okay, that's next. See the one example program. Okay, for the flow chart here. Uh, First, you need to understand what is the flow chart. Okay, it is the pictorial representation of the algorithm. Okay, let's see in our flow chart. Start, read numbers in the list Li, minimum equal to Li for each element in the list. Okay, here we are checking the minimum number is, if we are going to check the minimum number is greater than the list, the first item means, okay, it goes to swap. Okay, like that. Okay, we will see the another example for the pseudocode. Okay, write a program to print the reverse of a number. Okay, for reverse of a number, set initial sum equal to 0 comma r equal to 0. Next step, read the value of n. Next, while n is greater than 0. Next, r equal to n modulus 10. Sum equal to sum into 10 plus r. Next, n equal to n by 10. Okay, Okay, students, we will see the flow chart and then uh, the problem solving with decisions and Raptor and Scratch tools. Okay, in our next class. Okay, see, we will see the Raptor now. Okay, Raptor. What is Raptor? See, Raptor is the we are going to create the flow chart. We are going to create the flow chart. The Raptor tool, it gives the program, yes, our output. Okay, it gives the C program, C++ program. Okay, is the output for the Raptor tool. Okay, we can easily download the Raptor tool. Okay, or if we go to the Google website, here we are going to download the Raptor tool. See, Raptor tool is downloading. Next, I am going to install the Raptor tool in my system. Okay, I installed the Raptor tool successfully. Next, I am going to open the Raptor. See, see, I opened the Raptor tool. What is Raptor tool? We are going to create the flow chart. It gives the program. Yes, the output. Okay. So now we are going to draw the flow chart. Okay. For example, just drag and drop the symbols from the left side to right side. Okay. For example, here input. I need to get the input. Just drag and drop the input. You just double click here, enter the prompt value. For example, enter the value. Enter the value. Enter the value. I'm going to store the variable name as the number. So put the double quotation and enter the value. I'm going to get the number. Next one, drag and drop the output. Here, double click. The entered number is otherwise we can do the order even program. Okay, if for that we need to give the selection operation. So selection. Selection. Here num modulus 2 equal to 0. Now S means the going to print plus is even number. Done. No means what is output? No means it is the odd number. Num is odd number. Okay. See, shall we run the program? What is the flowchart? This flowchart is the it is going to give find the odd or even program. Okay. For example, I am now going to save odd even. Okay. What is my flowchart? See, students, can you visible now? Okay, first step is the start. Enter the value. Okay. See, shall I explain you again? All of you open the Raptor tool, file, new. Here start end is there. Okay, we need to give the input, get the input value. So just drag the input and drop here. Okay, here we are going to type enter the value. Here I am going to save it as the number. Next, done. Enter the value. I saved it as a number. Next one, selection operation. Okay, here I am giving the condition num modulus 2 modulus 2 equal to 0. Num modulus 2 equal to 0 means go to S. S means what is S? Num plus is even number. Done. Suppose the condition is false means just drag and drop the output. Here is odd number. Yes, can you understand? This program is used to find the odd or even program. Okay, we are going to get the number num modulus 2 equal to 0 means even number, otherwise odd number. Next I am going to run the program. See, I am going to click this arrow mark. Okay, enter the value. It is asking one value. I am giving 10,000 and then click OK. Condition is true. So see the result, 10,000 is even number. Yes. Next, I am going to run the same program again. Get the number. At this time, I am giving 9,999. Okay. And then click OK. Here, see, 9,999 is odd number. It is showing the result. Yes, can you understand? This is the Raptor tool. And then what is the purpose of Raptor tool? We are going to draw the flow chart and we are going to get the program. Yes, output. Here we can generate the program in ADA, C Sharp, C++, Java, standalone, VBA. Okay, let's see the C++ program for our flowchart. So we need to save the program. Here I'm going to save the program. Then only we can create the code. Next, generate C++. See, okay, it is giving the program. Okay, we can generate the C sharp program, Java, standalone, okay, like that. It shows the program. Yes, our output. Okay, yes, students can understand what is the Raptor tool. Okay, next class we will see the okay scratch tool. Okay, okay, thank you all. Okay, thank you.